You sit in a classroom right now. Someone tells you what to learn, when to speak, and when to shut up, and you don't question it because you never learned how. The bell rings and you move. Another bell rings and you stop. You've been doing this since you were 5 years old, and it has never once felt natural. But you kept showing up every single day because that's just what you do. But for 99% of human history, that classroom didn't exist. Humans lived without school for 300,000 years. School has existed for less than 300. School is younger than the United States. It was designed like a factory, like a prison, like a machine. So how did humans learn before school? The answer changes everything we think we know about learning, childhood, and what it means to be free. Let's start with the oldest classroom we know, because it had no walls. In 2019, Dr. Gul Deniz Salali published a study that would change how we understand the way children learn. She spent 9 months filming Bayaka children in the Congo rainforest, one of the last groups on Earth still living the way humans lived before school existed. She found that children as young as 3 were already using knives and machetes. No one taught them. They just watched until they knew, and then did. And here's the important part. The Congo was just one data point. Researchers studying the Hadza in Tanzania found the exact same pattern. Different continent, different language, different forest, same result. From age 2, children spent most of their waking hours in mixed age groups without a single adult telling them what to do. But even the adults rarely gave direct instructions. For context, the average American child spends 6 hours a day being told what to do. Now, some of you are thinking, those are children in a rainforest. Modern kids are different. Fair question. And the answer is sitting in a museum in Oregon. Between 100 and 800 CE on the northern coast of Oregon, someone carved a weapon from whalebone, a throwing tool, an atlatl, scaled down to fit the hands of a child. Not a model, not a decoration. Researchers found that weapons this size could hurl a dart 30 meters. Someone spent hours shaping that bone, making it smaller, making it work, not because a curriculum required it, because a child needed to practice. But that's still just one tool in one place. But Oregon was recent. The evidence goes back much, much further, and it gets stranger. Around 1200 CE in Greenland, Inuit adults were making miniature kayaks, harpoons, and lamps for their children. Researchers later cataloged over 2,000 of these objects from 8 settlement sites. Every single one was a copy of a real survival tool. A child who spent years paddling a miniature kayak already knew what to do when they sat in a real one. But nobody called it school. Nobody called it anything. It was just life. Between 800 and 1050 CE in Denmark, Viking children aged 4 to 6 were buried with full-size, razor-sharp steel knives, not toys, the same knives every adult carried. For context, these children received a blade before they could speak in full sentences, literally, before they had words for what they were holding. Think about this. These aren't isolated finds. From Oregon to Greenland to Denmark, every culture that left traces behind left the same message, but every single one of them said the same thing without words. They were handed the tools and trusted to figure it out. So let's go back. Before the classroom, the camp wakes up slowly. No alarm, no schedule, just light. Breakfast is whatever was left from yesterday. Meat, roots, berries. You eat with everyone. I had adults, older children, infants. No separate table, no separate time slot. You eat what they eat and you sit where they sit. Around mid-morning, a group leaves to forage, but here's the key. Nobody tells you to go. If you're 5 years old and you want to dig yams alongside a 14-year-old, nobody stops you. Nobody assigns you a task you're not ready for. You just watch until you're ready to try. This isn't learning in the modern sense. There's no curriculum, no lesson plan, no age at which you're allowed to pick up a knife. You pick it up when you pick it up. Researchers found that Bayaka girls by age 5 were already using machetes efficiently. Nobody taught them. They just watched long enough. And nobody even noticed it was happening. What happens next is what modern people find hardest to understand. Here's the thing, and the rest of the day belongs to nobody. Children move between adults and other children. They copy what they saw in the morning, not because someone told them to practice, because it felt worth doing. They play, they fail, they try again. No grade at the end, no correction from above, no bell telling you the day is over. In 1999, Sugata Mitra cut a hole in a wall in one of New Delhi's poorest slums and put a computer on the other side. He walked away. By the end of the first day, children who had never seen a computer were navigating navigating the internet. Nobody assigned them a curriculum. Nobody told them where to start. They just had access. And each other. Because in a world without a teacher telling you what matters, your brain decides what matters. And when your brain decides, it doesn't stop. So children taught themselves basic English, then math, then cellular biology, in a language most of them didn't speak. Not because someone told them to, because they wanted to. And every single time Mitra repeated the experiment, India, Cambodia, Chile, Argentina, the UK, literally the same result. Different country, different language, same brain. Then in 2021, something confirmed what that experiment suggested. Researchers Justin Pargeter and Dietrich Stout at Emory University took 17 volunteers who had never made a stone tool. No instructions, just a 17-minute video of an expert, and then the stone. Every single participant found the same thing. Their hands were wrong at first, their eyes were wrong, but over time, without anyone explaining the connection, their gaze and their hands started working together. Their brains found it through practice. This wasn't a new discovery. This was how every human skill in history was ever learned. Watch, try, fail, try again. Not because someone designed a curriculum around it, because that's how human brains are built. But suddenly, someone decided that wasn't good enough. And here's the part nobody talks about. The word school comes from the ancient Greek skol. It meant free time, leisure, time to think for yourself. Literally, school used to mean the opposite of what it means today. And nobody told you that. Then, in 1763, Frederick the Great of Prussia signed the first compulsory education law in recorded history. Within a generation, more than 80% of Prussian children sat in state classrooms. For context, your great-great-great-grandparents were the first humans in history required by law to sit in a classroom. But the law wasn't actually about education. It never was. The Prussian state needed soldiers who followed orders and factory workers who showed up on time. Not because it produced better thinkers, because it produced more obedient ones. So what exactly did we trade 300,000 years of human learning for? You still sit in that classroom, that quiet state you feel when you're learning something you actually chose when hours pass and you don't notice. That's not focus. That's not discipline. That's 300,000 years of human learning, working exactly the way it was built to work. Most people never feel it in school. Instead, we have boredom and we treat it like a disorder. But it's not a disorder. What if sitting still and waiting for a bell isn't your brain failing? It's your brain remembering what it was built to do? You're not bad at learning. You just never got to try. We didn't lose the ability to learn. We just forgot we ever had the choice.